A Blind Eye, written by G.M. Ford, talks about an ex-New York Times reporter named Frank Corso. He writes true crime books, and in the beginning of the book is stuck in a Chicago airport. Corso happens to be wanted by Texan deputies to testify before a grand jury. However, the warrant for his arrest expires in 9 days, which will allow him to go back to his ordinary life. In the blistering cold weather, barricaded in the airport, is where he meets a photographer by the name of Meg Dowtry. As they converse, he convinces her to leave the airport, taking a rented SUV car to go to the nearest airport that still has planes flying, which is in Wisconsin-Madison. Although there was a lot of resistance, seeing as Dowtry wanted to turn over Corso to the Texans for manipulating her to go with him on the journey. While on the road, a snowstorm hits Chicago, and having lost a tail light outside in the cold dark, they never make it to the airport, and in turn of the events, have a terrible accident by colliding with another vehicle. Coming out of their rented SUV, they both seem to be hurt severely. Frank, having damaged his head pretty good, left Dowtry to carry him over the farmhouse, where he continued to have disoriented vision. Dowtry, freezing, scours the area and picks up material fit to make a fire. She grabs whatever she can from what she sees, including the kitchen drawer cabinets. In the morning, having recovered a bit, Corso helps Dowtry continuing the fire in the freezing weather, having run out of things to burn. They start ripping the wooden flooring as they relentlessly tear up the floorboards. They get to a harder section where the boards fight their way being torn away. Having succeeded separating it, they find a huge plastic bag underneath the flooring, which includes skeletal remains buried beneath them. Mortified as he can be, he calls in with the Texan sheriffs. To the knowledge, the skeletal remains were identified as Holmes and his two sons. Surprisingly, Mrs. Holmes' remains aren't to be found. Corso, taking over with the Texan sheriffs, confirms the deal as to find out who killed the family. Corso tries his best to convince Dowtry that she shouldn't be involved any more than she has already involved herself in. However, Dowtry refuses to leave and is determined to accompany Corso to find the killer. To start with, Corso decides to look for a missing link in the family, which is the mother. Corso does all sorts of searching, including using a secret search group to find this woman. Having found some leads, he pursues his sources to places across the country. For instance, he learned that this woman was sexually abused throughout her life, and that she grew up as an orphan. She had slept with a number of women before landing with Holmes, and Corso didn't know why Holmes made the cut. However, she and Holmes married each other and grew a family. So what happened? Why was the family killed and the mother was missing? To figure this out, Corso had to start with her origins. Where did she come from? How was she brought up? Why did the community have such a bad image regarding her? In a series of events trying to unfold the mystery to Corso, in which he hoped to include in his crime writing books, he and Dowtry encounter a number of strange people who pose as the antagonists to the story, setting as obstacles for both of them in the search for the mother. Over these events, they find out shocking information about the suspect and get attacked nearly to death, accused to the point of life imprisonment. Over the course of traveling to find out the truth about this mystery woman, they find themselves in a hill town in New York, investigating one remaining resident, to which they return to Michigan to prevent a series of murders.